Well, welcome everyone. This is Deborah Lindsay and Kenna Lindsay, and we're laughing because why, Kenna?
It was really poorly timed. I was burping
You were
right when
burping as we were going on. Nice. Yeah, that's excellent.
it came
I'd
up.
like to introduce Kenna Lindsay. Kenna is the
Hello.
CEO and co-founder of, or founder, not co-founder,
Yeah,
of
I'm the founder.
KennaShop and the artist
Mine.
extraordinaire.
And this is my mother, Deborah Lindsay, the fantastic supporter and business person side of my business, as well as a sustainability expert and
A lot of things.
a
Just
lot of
leave it
things.
there. Leave it
Yeah.
at that.
Who's
People can just discover me if they want
talented,
to.
intelligent, beautiful.
You know, highly sought after, well paid,
Yes.
famous,
Yes.
all those things.
Yes.
Yes, all of that. That's me. Thank you, Kenna, for that. A great introduction. Have you got all your burps out now? Can we actually get going?
I mean, we'll see.
Okay. So actually, we got a couple of fun things. Well, we're going to talk about eating disorders today.
Just
We
not one of the fun things, but
not sorry, not one of the fourth, but the fun things that we were going to talk about. One, you have a GoFundMe,
I
and the
do.
link is down there.
Yes. Yeah. So I am trying to fundraise some money so I can uh, pay the admission fees for the holiday markets that are happening around the Bay Area. There are three specifically, I think, that I'm trying to get into. And I can't remember exactly what they are right now. I know one is West Coast Craft, another one is San Jose Made, and then I think the other one is Head West. And
Yes,
then
in Santa Rosa area,
yes,
Santa
and
Fowler, Santa
they're
Rosa.
they're all much bigger markets than I've been at before, and so the cost to get in is much higher. And so, me being a still growing little business, I would really love some support. If anyone would be down to donate, the link is below. And if you can't donate right now, that's okay too. If you want to share it, either way.
Yep, that's awesome. Okay. And the other fun news, Kenna, is that you got approached by a high schooler.
I did.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had a one of my followers named Bunny, very very sweet.
Bunny? Yeah, that's
Bunny,
good.
yeah.
Mhm.
I know I love that name so much. Um, Approached me and did a school project or homework assignment on me. They had to do a PowerPoint about an artist that they like, and so they chose me, and they asked me a bunch of questions about, what kind of style my art was, whether or not it was representational or expressionist, and my response for that was, I have no idea if they ever taken an art class. So
Kenna, terrible.
but no, it was really awesome, and it was very very cute project. And I still have to respond to their message. So
Now, did you get like to see the PowerPoint? Did she make the
yes,
power?
yeah.
And okay, well, we kind of want to see. Okay, so
Well,
next
I'm not gonna share someone else's homework, but
I would just see if you can share something because this is adorable. And
it's very sweet, and it's definitely like
you're somebody's hero.
no, it's just like, it's cool to be an artist that someone really really enjoys in that way and wants to showcase. So it's very
Nice.
cool.
Yes. And
Yeah,
finally, you've got new stickers,
I do.
and
I
I
have a
have an
bunch of stickers.
example already attached to my water bottle. There it is.
Boom.
It's the huntress. What's her name?
Uh, Artemis.
Artemis.
Yeah, yeah. I've got I think 5 new
Calling maiden
designs.
huntress, Artemis, Artemis maiden, come to us. Remember that from
Yes,
the
Women's
Women's Herbal
Herbal Symposium.
Symposium?
Hey, hey. But yeah, I've got I think 5 new designs, and I will be at the Midtown Market on Friday, October 1st, which is also a queer market hosted by Santa Cruz Pride, and I will be showing all my new stickers. So come on by and get some stickers. Oh,
Awesome.
your car got broken into today.
Oh, your car got broken into today. And what
Yeah.
were they trying to sell or steal? Pardon
My
me.
wagon. My
Your
wagon that I use
wagon.
for the markets. I know. Fucking dickhead. Okay. Anyway, let's get into.
But they didn't get it because
We
of
didn't get
a
it.
dog barking.
Exactly.
Scared them
My
away.
boyfriend's landlord came out and scared them away. So
It wasn't
thanks,
Ludo
bro.
though, right? Ludo was not the dog that started
No, Ludo's
barking.
never been useful a day in his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, bunny.
Ah, Ludo. So okay, great. I'm glad you got all that news done. And now we're going to get on to
A more
the topic
serious
of the
matter.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
more serious matter. We've been wanting to talk about eating disorders for a while, and
Yeah.
actually, the this topic, having a conversation with Charles, your BF,
Mhm.
this is kind of what prompted us to
Yeah.
do this show
Yeah.
because there was so much learning for him around this topic,
Yeah.
and
And I think also I remember the person, 'cause we were at a market, the person next to us at the market was also kind of like going in and out of being in our conversation as well, and just,
Mhm.
being open about the topic of eating disorders and how prevalent they are, and how even if you don't have an eating disorder, disordered eating, which is different but similar, is so prevalent, especially for women, you know?
Okay, so we definitely need to know the difference between the two of those, but because I wanted to, eating disorders, a definition in, the Webster Dictionary, it says any of several psychological disorders such as anorexia nervosa or bulimia characterized by serious disturbances of eating behavior.
Right. And then those are the two that are most often recognized as anorexia and bulimia, but there are others as well. I suffered from binge eating disorder. I can't think of what the other one that I was thinking of right now is. It's so prevalent in
Well,
California and Santa
do
Cruz
you
specifically.
do you feel like sharing the thing? What is that face?
I can't think of what it is.
Oh, okay. Well,
Orthorexia.
what is it?
Orthorexia is another one.
Orthorexia?
Yeah,
Orth
it's like it's funny. I actually haven't talked about eating disorders for a long time, or I was so in it in high school, and now I'm just like. But orthorexia, I believe, is like a real like disordered focus on health. So like only like kale filter feeding, like just the cleanest of diets. And I think that's correct.
Okay, well,
And
we'll have to get a double check on that. I just looked it
yeah.
up in the definition, the dictionary. It didn't come up, but we will.
My Facebook friend April actually works at the Lotus Collaborative, which is an eating disordered recovery clinic that I went to in high school. So she actually works there now, and maybe I could ask her to
Yeah,
come on
we've been
and
thinking about getting somebody else on the show. Let's see if we can pull her on next week.
yeah.
So I was going to ask you, well, do you want to share that you were where you went? Like you just mentioned the Lotus Collaborative, and do you want to say anything about that? Just
Yeah. So I think one of the important things, sorry, my dog is itching, so I don't know if you can hear that right now.
no.
But one of the important things about eating disorders is sharing and being open about it.
Hmm.
So when I was in high school, I was um, enrolled into an outpatient recovery clinic called the Lotus Collaborative. Um,
Based in
and
Santa
it's
Cruz.
in Santa Cruz. It's a really great program in Santa Cruz actually that helps you recover from an eating disorder. And I was there like 8 hours.
9 months.
Yeah, like 9 months, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yep.
Like, and it was a very, very intense time in my life. I was, deeply suicidal, and I know that's one of the things about eating disorders is I think one of the things that they told us at least is that it has, I think, one of the highest fatality rates of mental
Mm,
illnesses.
mm,
Um,
mm,
yeah, and it's also one
mhm,
of the most difficult things to overcome because when you have an addiction, right, one of the things to do is to stop that addiction, right? You don't smoke anymore, you don't drink anymore, you don't do drugs anymore, that kind of thing. But with eating, you can't not eat,
mhm.
and so it's really, you have to figure out how to do the thing that your disorder is focusing on in a way that's healthy, and that can be so hard.
Right.
And so complicated, and they were really fantastic at helping me get through that, and you know have a more healthy relationship with my food and my body. So
Right. So eating disorder and disordered eating, we said we'd get back to that. So what's disordered eating?
that was a great question.
Okay,
Thank you for asking
maybe
me that
we need
question.
to have your friend come on this show.
Well,
But one
no,
of
so what I'm again, everything that I'm saying is kind of like from the depths of my brain from when I was 17 and like trying to, get
pull
through
it
that.
out,
So
pull it forward. Come
yeah,
on,
so that
pull it
not,
out.
just like, because not everyone has an eating disorder, right? Like it's a very specific um uh addiction and mental illness and um uh, problem,
Right, right,
but many more people have disordered eating and
right,
unhealthy relationships with food,
right,
especially in our society because it's so focused on denying food and the fear of gaining weight
right,
and the fear of food, and
right,
so you can be in our society and have disordered eating and be pretty much anyone because
right,
our society has an incredibly unhealthy relationship to food.
right,
um
right.
and
Now,
that's, I think, what disordered eating is versus eating disorders, which
right,
are that going further and becoming a um,
right.
you know, really
And
eating
one of
disorder.
the things that in the program that you were in, and I always have found this so fascinating, is that anorexia and bulimia are on one end of an eating disorder um, like spectrum, and then there's all the way up to overeating or
Binge eating disorders.
binge
Yeah,
eating disorder
I don't.
are on the same line. They're the same disorder, but they're just a different look at it. Is that an accurate statement?
Potentially, I think I'm not quite understanding what you're meaning. So, yeah, would you mind explaining that a little bit better or
That it's
more?
there's a spectrum of eating disorders, and that one which is restricting eating and one which is binging eating,
Mhm.
that they're the same issue in just a different in a different incarnation, like
Well, and the thing is too is that they're not all separate. So, like, while it is a spectrum, right? Like you can be I had binge eating disorder. So I was a binge and restrict eating disorder person. So basically what that means is I would not eat for a while or not eat food that had uh, a nutritional value. And then when my body would become really hungry, I would eat to the point that I was in pain. And then that would release dopamine and that kind of thing, and then going back into that. And so some people have restriction and binge eating, and then also purging, and so there's really in the end you're not getting the nutritional value that you need if it's anorexia, if it's bulimia, if it's binge eating disorder. You're still not, you know,
right.
healthy. So yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
no,
that's,
and I get it. And let's get your gal friend on the show. But what I wanted to
yeah.
say was that, you know, disordered eating, which I think that probably so many people can relate to,
Hmm.
right? Like that is, for sure where I have been a lot of times in my life has been in that disordered eating space.
Hmm.
And we've talked a little bit about like how early on in my life I was already told by the time I was 8 that I was unacceptable, I was too heavy, that and
Yeah.
and what was I doing, and what value was I going to have in this earth if I was heavy,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
And
Let's not,
and so
Mom, we're supposed to be, as women, we're just supposed to be sexy objects. Come on.
okay. Yeah, and I'll just say, and I love my mom, okay, and she probably will hear this, but coming right out of her mouth when I was like in seventh grade was you'll lose weight when you start having boys interested in you, or like something around boys, and like that was the motivation, that getting boys was going to facilitate me wanting to lose weight. When I was ready to get into that market, that then I would be paying more attention to the critical things that I needed to pay attention to in my life, which was making sure I was slender, instead of like, don't make the man the plan, which would have been much more helpful to me, I think, at some point, at many points in my life. But the every diet that I've been on has made me fatter.
Well, I mean, yeah, because ultimately, like, it's restricting. And like, what happens when you restrict? You binge because you're not getting the nutrition that you need. And like, I don't know, I'm just so against diets. And I know that for some people that's like, well, you're fat, so obviously like diets work because if you blah, blah, blah. But it's just such not a healthy way to come at your body. And I think that there are some really amazing plus size nutritionalists out there that you could talk to, or people who are, interested in nutrition and healthy eating in a way that is not restrictive. And that's not the way that most diets are.
And I don't think we really want to go into, diet, what we're doing or not doing, like we're just not on this show really going to be going down that pathway. It's just not what we're interested in. There's probably things that we're each doing, you and I, in whatever capacity. And I just don't think that that's something we have to really go down to. But the bigger point is that, like, disordered eating comes from an external pressure to make you be something that, like is maybe not really your true nature to be. I look at my body, I'm exactly the way my family has been, like my father's sisters, exactly. I look exactly like them. And I have elements of what I look like in my mom, and it goes, the story goes on. This is not to say
I'm Scottish, baby. We had to be warm on the Highlands.
Scottish. Yeah, didn't you say you went to a Scottish Highland show and you were like, my people?
They all looked like me. Yeah, they looked like me. So like, yeah, that's exactly it, where it's like, maybe this is just the way that your body is supposed to look. Like maybe just eating in a way that is natural or whatever. I'm not gonna tell people how to eat or anything, but you know, we don't all have to look one specific way. And I think that's one of the driving factors of eating disorders, is that you have to look a specific way in order to have value.
So that topic is interesting because they just came out with a report that was saying that Instagram is actually very detrimental for young women, because they're looking at images of other young women and going, oh my God, I am not like that. I can't be like that. And it's actually harming them on a fundamental way, because they're just seeing skinny gals and saying, oh my God, and which is so interesting to me, because we're in the era of, there is so much more out there now about body positivity than there ever has been. And yet it's still consistently like an issue.
Well, and I think that the thing is, like, if you want to follow plus size creators, if you want to follow people that, aren't the typical Instagram models, you have to be looking for them.
Right.
So if people don't know to be looking for them, or aren't ready to be on that part of the journey, they're not going to be there. They're not going to easily find the Instagram models that look like them.
So that leads in perfectly, Kenna, as to why you do your art.
Yes.
Right.
Because I want to represent beautiful, curvy, fat people and people of non-normative bodies. And yeah, that's honestly why I started this business, because I wanted to see myself in a way that was beautiful and creative, and I wasn't seeing that from anyone else. So I thought, fuck,
Right.
I'm going to do it myself.
Right.
So
And we get that every time we're at a market where people are just like, oh my God, oh my God, this is amazing.
yeah.
So
Or they really don't like it, like that one guy that turned his girlfriend's head away.
that's what we saw. That's what I saw this past market, which was just like, yeah, you're not going to look at that. Okay. Well, I think this has been a really great show. Thank you very much. We're going to see about getting somebody on our show next week, which would be super fun.
I'm going to reach out to my friend.
Okay, reach out to your friend. Let's bring her on here. As a reminder, GoFundMe. There it is, the link below. GoFund.me/97EEE Dad. I think that's a funny dad. Yeah, even $20 helps, right? We're just trying to get to $1,000 and we're more than 60% of our goal. So,
and if you don't want to add to the GoFundMe, but you still want to give me money, you can hit me up on Venmo at KennaShop on Venmo.
Awesome.
I need money.
We got to get to these markets and get more and more people out there. No, stop saying that. Okay. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.